Hello and welcome to the video. I'm Jimmy the Mower, and today we're going to be servicing a Toro 1000 series engine that's on my Toro Timemaster mower. Okay then, let's just have a look at this first. The Toro 1000 series GTS overhead valve engine is a Briggs Stratton by any other name. It's got Briggs Stratton written on the top. It's Briggs Stratton filters, so we're looking at Briggs Stratton here. Commercial grade engine, it's a great engine, it's done really well on our Toro, but it needs a service. If you're looking for a video on how to change the blades, then please go down to the description below because we've already done one of those and that should be out there somewhere. This is just purely an engine service for here. We're going to be changing the oil, the spark plug and the air filter. Now, we can also have a little look at the timing belt because the cover's on the front and we can get that off, and it's always handy to check that while you're servicing the engine. Right, first things first, let's get the spark plug out. So when we're messing around with any mower, the first thing we do is disconnect the spark plug. It's just tucked away under here underneath the top cowling, easy to get at. This just pulls off out the way, put that round to the side, and then we've got, what is it, I think it's a 16mm socket on there. We'll just undo that. Now I don't know how tight you normally do these spark plugs, but for me, what I say is when we put them in, we do them finger tight and then we nip them up a bit and then a quarter of a turn to press the compression washer down. Oh, blimey. Right, that's a bit dirty. Right, we can see that plug's dirty. Yeah, we definitely need a better plug in there, a clean one. This is a Champion that's come out of here, a Champion RC12YC, okay? I've been on, and the NGK equivalent, which is the ones I can get easily over here, I've even written Toro on the side of it, look, so you can, so I remembered which one it was, is a BCP R5ES. Okay, now that's the same size. When you're changing these spark plugs, you haven't got to be too concerned about this bit here, right? That's just to connect to the electrode so it'll fit on. This is the bit that you need to worry about. This bit here, you need to match up the thread and you need to match up the distance. And if you hold those two side by side, you can see actually that this one is slightly longer and slightly thicker at the top, and you can see when you hold them this way round, the ends and the threads are exactly the same, exactly, right? Too far in, you're going to do damage, too far out, it won't work properly, right? So this one then, the NGK BCP R5ES, right? That goes in there. We'll put it in the port, we haven't got to connect it up yet, but now, be careful when threading these plugs in. You can put a bit of thin oil on there, a bit of 3-in-1 if you like, but the NGKs, they've got a special coating on there, a little zinc coating that helps them go in. Now, if, as I always say with spark plugs, if we were putting them in vertically or horizontally, it would be easy, right? If they're going in like that or like that, no bother. But they're always in at a slight angle for some reason, and it's very easy to cross thread. If you feel any resistance, take it out and start again, because if you cross thread it, you'll do some damage and then it might be new engine time or a lot of money somewhere to get it repaired. Now, I'll show you this spark plug again. We've got a little washer on there. There's a tiny little washer that fits around on the spark plug, right? You know, if you can see it moving. That little washer, that's a compression washer. So when we put the new one in, we bend that down and it forms a seal. I've tightened it up as much as I can with my fingers. Now I'm going to put the socket on there and we'll see how much it will go round now. So quarter of a turn, quarter of a turn, quarter of a turn. It's going in, still going in, and it will just squash that down. We're only doing a couple of clicks at a time until you feel some resistance, and I think that's about it. Don't over tighten it. If it's not tight enough, you'll know about it and you can nip it up again, but don't over tighten it. Now we won't connect that for now, but we know that that's changed. That spark plug, it still works, the motor still ran, it's a bit dirty. What we can do is we can clean that, put that on the shelf, and then when we've got a rainy day, we can clean that up and we can pop it in that box and we can write spare on there. And we'll know that if we ever have a problem with one of these mowers that's got one of these spark plugs in, we can change it over for this one, knowing that this one works, and we can try and troubleshoot the fault that way. Right, after that, we'll do the air filter. Onto the air filter then. Now, I told you, genuine Briggs and Stratton parts. That's what these Toro 1000 series engines are, right? So, easy to do this. Just undo it with your thumb, spin it round, and you get to a point where it will just keep turning. That's it, I felt it go. And you just lift the housing off, like so. Nice and clean in there, you can see that. Filter's a little bit grubby, but it's not untoward really. There's not a lot of stuff in there. It's fairly clean, but we'll pop a new one in. It's the end of the season, well, start of the next season actually, and we want to start the season off with everything brand new. We know it's working, we know how it's going. I dropped a piece of paper on the floor. I hope that was nothing important. Right, I've just noticed on here we've got a bit of a plastic grommet in the bottom there. I'm not sure if that sits on. No, that doesn't sit on. It must be just to protect this seal. I can see in there, just to protect that seal that goes round there. Look at that. Now, with this seal, the way the air filter works, sits on the top, right? Draws the air in through the filter, through the paper element, cleans it and puts it down into the engine through here. So, with that protected, what we can do to make a little bit of a film on there, we can put some light oil or we can put some grease and just smear it round and that'll form a tight seal. I'll just do that now. And that is as easy as that. Right, next is the oil change. Okay then, let's do the oil change. Right, here's the filler cap. We just undo that. It just clips in, it's only a quarter of a turn to undo. Undo that and take it out. I should have a rag somewhere around here. Here we go. There you go. Let's clean that off. The oil's pretty clean on here. It's not been run to excess. Right, we'll put that down for 1 second. There's no actual drain plug on these engines, or not as far as I can tell. So we just use one of these guns. We can put that down in there and we just pull it and there you go, we can suck the oil out. I'm not 100% sure how much we'll get out. I think these hold around 1 litre. We'll get out as much as we can and then we put that into our waste oil container, which is over here. Put that into there and then we'll get out as much as we can. When you do an oil change, don't beat yourself up about it. You will not remove all the oil every time. You cannot do it. There's oil all around this engine. You'll have to tilt the mower over a little bit to get some out. You know, that's just how it goes. You'll never remove it all. As long as you get 75% plus out, you're doing all right, okay? So get the oil out as much as you can. One of these is great. If you haven't got one of these, you'll have to find a container or something, tip it over on its side and empty it out. I wouldn't really advise that, but there's no real other way of doing it. So do it like that. We'll get all this oil out and then we'll start putting the clean stuff back in. Well then, that was a bit of a messy job, shall we say. Always keep a rag to hand, and the oil bottle, you need something to stand that on. We've got a little tray on the floor here so I can put this one out of the way. But it does make a mess when you're dragging the oil out. Now, we're going to put some oil back in. So you'll either need a funnel or you will need one of these bottles with a pouring spout on. Pouring spout's probably better. You can just get it in there. You don't get any drips from the funnel, whichever you prefer. Now, we're using straight SAE 30. Says on the front, premium engine oil for generators, mowers and pumps, right? You can use any sort of variation of this, 530, 1030, 540, 1040, whatever takes your fancy, whatever you got to hand. SAE 30 is a good thick oil. This is Morris oil. It's a good brand of oil. It's great for the mowers. It's got a good viscosity, so when the mower's sitting there, it is clinging to all the parts. So when you start these up, now you can't vary the engine revs on these, you start them up and it's just running. That is it. So if you've got something nice and thick that will cling to the wear parts, it will save you money in the long run. Right, we took about a litre out. I'm presuming about a litre will go back in. I'll put about 2/3 of this bottle in, and then we'll put the dipstick in and we'll just measure it out. You can see how clear the oil is coming down here compared to how dark it was when we were taking it out. It was quite black. But with these, depending on the hours that you do, we use this commercially. It's probably mowing for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week. So you'll probably service this a couple of times in a season, change the oil twice, if not a bit more. And when you first get the machine, you should change it really. With all machines, when they've been running for about 10 hours, you can change the oil in them then, and it just takes any bits and pieces that were left over from the factory out of there. They should have already had a first oil change really, because they fill them up with oil, and then in the UK they're not allowed to ship them with oil, so they have to drain the oil out. So it's already had one oil change. Right. I've put about 800 ml in there, so 800 ml. Now I just got to find a dipstick wherever I put that. I dropped that on the floor, so make sure it's always clean, right? Always clean. Now, a couple of little marks on there, a couple of little holes, 2 tiny holes and a bit of greyed out area in between. The one hole, this end, is the low or minimum, and this hole, this other end, is the maximum. Now, there's not a lot of difference between minimum and maximum on these machines. You're looking at putting in, well, on any mower really, you're looking at putting in half a litre and it could bring you up to the minimum bit. You put in another 100 ml and you're over the maximum, so you have to be quite steady with them really. Now, we might have put a bit too much in there, we'll see. Just got to wait for it to find its way down. We put that in there and it just dribbles down the neck and cleans to the side. So we'll put that in there, we'll leave that in for a few minutes. Yeah, it's getting lower and lower now every time I test it. So we'll put that in and leave that in there for a couple of minutes. And I'll just go and grab myself a cup of tea and also the fuel filter. I nearly forgot that one. So I'll grab the fuel filter as well and we'll let that settle down and we'll see how much oil we've got in there. Well then, we've had some jigging about. I thought, or presumed, we got about a litre out of there. I should have measured it really. I've even got a measuring jug on the back. I should have put the waste oil into there and measured exactly how much had come out. Because I stuck 800 ml back in, and when we put the dipstick in, it was too much. We shook it around, we made it settle out a bit, and it was still a bit too much. Kept testing it, and now I think we've got it just about right. I'll just put that in. You can see we're there. I'll just put that underneath. We just shiny up to the dot or thereabouts. There's a little bit still in the funnel, but I'm presuming it takes about 500 ml, right? Not a litre. That's some duff information I've got off the internet there. With these being mainly American mowers, there's a lot of crossover. They have fluid ounces and stuff over there, and we deal in litres, and you're like searching on some sites and it'll tell you one thing or tell you something else. So I think it's about 500 ml of oil in the end. But anyway, we siphoned some out. Unfortunately, I can't put that back into the clean oil because it is mixed with dirty oil, so it just goes into our waste. So we have wasted a bit of oil, but I would rather waste a bit of oil than run it with too much in, because that's going to cause us problems. Now, we've done the spark plug, we've done the air filter, we've done the oil change. I almost forgot we've got a fuel filter as well, right? A nice little see-through one there that we can pop on the side. So we'll turn the mower around again and we'll pop this fuel filter on, and I think that's just about it. We've turned the mower around then, so the fuel filter's facing you. There's no fuel tap on this mower, so I put some mole grips on and squeeze the pipe down. I don't think there's a lot of fuel in there anyway, but it's best off in the tank and not dribbling all over my workbench. This is the new fuel filter, nice and clean, like semi-opaque plastic. There's a tiny little arrow on there. You probably won't be able to see it, but there's an arrow and it just shows you the flow of the fuel. Sometimes these sit the other way around. It just depends. So just always double check the arrow. The fuel comes in this side from the tank and out that side. You can go by how they look on there, but don't always trust that, because sometimes they could have put them on backwards and they don't work very well. So always check that there's one on there. Now, I'm going to come round that side so you won't see me, you'll just see what I'm doing. I've got some needle nose pliers, I'll pinch the clips off and I'm going to put the new filter in line. Well, that was pretty straightforward then. All we've got left to do is put the end back on the spark plug, and that's it. We've got a key start on this model, so I'll leave it on off for a second, and what you do, you just pull this a little bit just to make sure that the fuel's through, okay? It'll bleed it through, and then we can turn it to on and we give it a tug, and away you go. Sweet as a nut. So it's as easy as that. That's your mower serviced. We've got a whole other video about the blades that we've changed underneath there, so make sure you have a look at that one. And I did say we will check the timing belt on here. It's always advisable to check the timing belt whether you're changing the blades or doing the engine service. It's so quick and easy. I'll show you right now. Here's a heavy old machine to move around. Right, 2 little slots on there, turn them 90 degrees. So sit round, take that off, and that's it. We've got timing belt in there, timing pulleys. The belt looks almost brand new. The pulleys are all fine. We know it works well. We've changed the blades on there. We've moved everything around. We know it's all in time and in beat. I won't start the blades up while we're on here. It'll cause yourself all sorts of problems. I wouldn't really advise starting it up indoors at all, but we're in quite a big building and we've got extraction units and whatever, so it's not so bad just for a few seconds. If you ever need to mess around with the timing belt, it's in there, the adjuster's in there as well. I'll do a whole nother video on changing these pulleys, the belt, adjusters and all that sort of thing. So there you go. That's your basic engine service on there on the Toro Timemaster with the Toro 1000 series engine or the Briggs Stratton engine. I'll find out the Briggs Stratton number for you as well, so you'll know exactly what you're dealing with. Right, and all the part numbers and everything that you require will be down in the description below. If you've got anything nice to say or just want to say hello or know anything more about these machines than I do, pop something in the comments. I'm always willing to learn and I will answer each and every one of you. I really will. Give me a follow across social media as well. Give me the thumbs up, subscribe if you can. Hit the bell as well. We've got loads of other videos, so if you hit the bell you get notified of each and every one of them that comes out. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm Jimmy the Mower. I'll catch you on the next one.